Deborah, this is Bob Woodruff from ABC News. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Bob, we get you loud and clear. Can you hear us?
I hear you perfectly, so I'll go ahead and ask away. So I know it's hard for any of us to imagine what you're seeing when you look out that window or you walk out in space, but how would you explain it to me?
Last night, well, it was after we undocked from the International Space Station. On one of the night passes, we were flying pretty much over the Kennedy Space Center, a little bit south of that. We could look out the window left of my seat and see all of Florida lit up. I could see back to New Orleans, up through Atlanta, and into North Carolina, and it's pretty spectacular. It's the view of the planet from orbit it's something you never forget.
Drew, you've certainly walked in space before. What'd you think about this trip, and what's it going to feel like when you can't fly in these shuttles again?
Well, it's a little bit of a bittersweet end. I was happy to have the opportunity to do the three spacewalks that I did, both with Greg Chamitoff and Mike Fink, and happy that all four of them were very successful. And I can tell you, in reference to the previous question, the view from out there was spectacular. When you can see the Earth below and you're holding on to a piece of the structure up high above the space station, and to see the horizon out there with all that hardware beneath you, and understand what we've done as a nation and as a world to build that International Space Station. It's spectacular. So it's bittersweet to know that it's sort of coming to an end, and that we all have varying futures ahead of us, but it'll be interesting to see what that brings for all of us in the development of the space program.
Mike, you set a new record, 380 days in space. How can anybody possibly beat you?
Well, the Russians have had people in space for up to 800 days in their career, so I got a long way to go. And but I'm sure there's other people who are going to fly in our office more than one long-duration space mission, and I hope my record is soon broken, and I hope it just becomes a kind of a ripple in the whole scheme of history as humans go on, Americans go on to explore the rest of the solar system. But in the meantime, I'm glad to share the moments with these guys.
All right, you astronauts. All right, you got about 10 seconds to explain to me exactly what the alpha magnetic spectrometer does for us in trying to find the origins of the universe. Go ahead.
Well, there's some really amazing things that it's trying to figure out. Hubble for us, one of the important things Hubble figured out was that the universe is not only expanding, but at an accelerated rate. And our understanding of how that could be with mass, when mass attracts and should be pulling things back together, we clearly don't understand the mass that's out there. And about 4% of the mass is the matter that we understand. And then there's other kinds of matter that we're trying to figure out. And one of those we call dark matter, because physicists don't really understand what it is. And this is understanding what the universe is, the universe we live in, how it all got here, how it was formed. These are fundamental questions, and this is what AMS is going to be trying to understand for us.
And Mark, as a commander, you had a very emotional trip up there with Gabby now on the recovery back here on Earth. How's it been for you?
Well, the mission's gone great. It's nice that on the space station there's an internet phone available. We actually had pulled the computer over here, and we had a headset and this mic, as a matter of fact. And it was nice to be able to call her each day. After about flight day 4 of the flight, she had her surgery a couple days after we launched, and that went really well. So it was nice to be able to talk to her. Haven't been able since we undocked, but I will, shortly after I land. So I'm really looking forward to seeing her.
Well, obviously we share this in the sense that she got her cranioplasty put on, her skull back on. Do you see a big change in her? Less pain? Anything else different?
Well, there's always issues with the recovering from surgery. I could tell a difference on the phone when speaking to her, so that's all positive, and her recovery's going really, really well. She'll be doing rehab, for some continuing period of time, but at some point, pretty soon, she'll become an outpatient. So we're really looking forward to that, and it's all really encouraging.
So she'll be going back to Tucson fairly soon?
Well, we haven't made specific plans yet, but it's not going to be too long before she at least goes back to Tucson, for a visit. She'll be staying at Tier and continuing her rehab for some period of time. That hasn't been decided either, but we're looking forward to getting her back to Tucson for at least a short period of time.
I'm going to ask you about Soyuz here in a second too, but just last little question about that. But you made your decision to go up into space while she's still going into surgery. I can only assume that was a very good decision for you to do.
Yeah, I think it was the right decision. She was ready for the surgery. The timing, worked out where her doctor ideally wanted to do it soon after I launched, and yeah, I really trust him. And her mom was there, and her dad, and other family members. So it was good timing. So I didn't want to hold it up by this space flight. So we decided to go ahead with it, and in hindsight, it was absolutely the right decision.
Endeavor, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the ABC News portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from CBS News.
Endeavor, this is CBS News. How do you hear me?
We've got you loud and clear. How do you hear us?
I hear you just fine. It's first, I just have to say, it is a thrill to be speaking with you gentlemen. Well, this is the last mission for the Endeavor and the second to the last shuttle mission ever. What does all this mean for you?
Well, yeah, after Endeavor comes to a stop on the runway tomorrow, hopefully in Florida, it'll head off to a museum. Certainly bittersweet. The space shuttle's been the workhorse of the U.S. space program for better than 30 years now. So it'll be sad to see it retired. But we are looking forward to new spacecraft and new destinations, and we're all excited about the future.
What about what you've actually been able to accomplish on this mission?
Well, we had a full docket on this mission, partly because as the shuttle program comes to an end, there's a lot of things that are left to be done. On our particular flight, we installed the alpha magnetic spectrometer, which is a very, very important experiment that scientists are going to use to better understand our universe. We installed the ELC-3, which was a resupply for the space station, so it can continue on for the next decade. And then these three gentlemen, spacewalkers around me, completed 4 spacewalks, doing all kinds of things to make the space station, to repair it, to replace parts, to refurbish parts, and to upgrade parts on the space station in this effort. So we've had a really busy mission. We also tested a new rendezvous system to join up to the space station or whatever vehicle we might use in a follow-on spaceship.
Right, Commander Kelly, what mix of excitement and anxiety have you been dealing with on this mission, being so far away from your wife at this time, the surgery, her assailant's court hearing, certainly the uncertainties of space?
Well, having her there for launch made it particularly important to me to have her and Claudia and Claire, our two daughters there. It was really a special moment after what happened to her on January 8th, the fact that she was able to recover to the point to walk on the airplane, walk off, make the trip to Florida twice. It was really, really special. Being away from her, to be honest, it's difficult. Fortunately, there's a phone on the space station. There's email. We can communicate, and I'm looking forward to getting back there tomorrow.
What a wake-up call you got Sunday morning with that song from your wife. What does it mean to you?
Well, that's one of her favorite bands of all time is Calexico. They're from Tucson, Arizona. And, I before this happened in January, I wasn't, didn't listen to them a lot, but she listens to Calexico in her room. So, I really enjoy it now. And since it came up from Gabby, it was really, really special.
What's the first thing you plan to say to her when you hit the ground?
Probably I'm back.
For the rest of you guys, what are you most looking forward to being finished with this mission? And what has it been like to look out at the world? Those spacewalks must have been something. If you could just turn that mic on for me.
It has been my first experience with the space shuttle. I flew before on the Russian side. It has been a very unique experience to stay and to work with my crew. The mission is coming to an end. I'm very pleased the way it went, and I look forward to see my wife Valeria and my three kids, Eduardo, Davide, and Enrico. They will be waiting for me together with all the other families at the Kennedy Space Center.
And that spacewalk, looking back and seeing the world.
Yeah, it's really special to be out there on a spacewalk because there's just a quarter inch of plexiglass between you and the rest of the universe, and you can look down and see our planet zoom by at 17,500 miles an hour, and you can see the rest of the cosmos in front of you. But mainly we look at our work, but it's a really breathtaking view, and I was glad to share it with both Drew Feustel and Greg Chamatoff, along with the guys inside helping us out and even taking pictures. It was definitely an enjoyable experience, but one thing I always want to make sure is everyone knows it is not easy. There's never an easy spacewalk. They're all really difficult. I sometimes, at least in my mind, think it's just as tough to climb Mount Everest as it is to go on a spacewalk.
Endeavor, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the CBS News portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from CNN.
Endeavor, this is CNN. How do you hear me?
We've got you loud and clear. Is this John King?
It is, Commander. How are you?
Yeah, we're doing great up here. How are you?
I'm doing great as well down here. Let me start with the conversation. And Commander, you feel free to steer the conversation around any way you want. As you prepare to come home, and you look down, I guess I'm tempted to ask, knowing that this is your last shuttle mission, it's like a vacation at the Grand Canyon, and you're tempted to call down and say, can we extend the rental a little bit?
John, these missions are really complex. There's a lot of risk, and we develop a plan way ahead of time. It would be nice to have an additional day in space to look down at our beautiful planet and just enjoy being in zero gravity. But tomorrow's the right time for us to come home, and if the weather holds up, we've got a little bit of a crosswind issue we're looking at, but if the weather holds up, we'll hopefully be on the runway at about 2 in the morning tomorrow.
Mike, if I got the stats right here, you've had 26 hours on 6 spacewalks during your career. I'm just wondering, I know it's work out there, and your time is limited, and you've got a lot to get done, but knowing that you won't be flying off the side of a shuttle again, did you take any extra time on this trip just to reflect, just to have a nostalgic moment?
Yes, I absolutely did. Each time you get to do a spacewalk, it's a lot of work, but it's also very much a blessing. And since those 6 spacewalks on the Russian side, I had 3 spacewalks out of 4 here on our mission, so it's a total of 9 now. I can't believe it. I didn't even think I'd ever get to do one. But it's always good to, especially near the end of the spacewalk when you know you got most of your tasks done, to just hold on tight and look out over the edge and look at planet Earth go by, or look up and see the moon and the stars and the planets and look forward to where we're going to be going next.
Greg Johnson, 4,000 hours, 40 different aircraft. On your second space flight, we're obviously in a transition. A lot of questions about the future of the American manned space program. What goes through your mind when you're zipping around, you disconnect from the space station, and now you're preparing to come home?
Well, what occurs to me is how special it is. Yesterday we did undock and fly around, and the space station was absolutely spectacular. This mission, we put the final touches as far as the assembly of the space station so we can declare the space station complete. And in doing so, the space station is so huge that even when we back off to 600 feet, we can barely catch the entire space station in our field of view. As we traveled all the way around the space station, we were taking wonderful photographs, and so being a part of this mission and being a part of the completion of the space station and the retirement of the space shuttle, I can't think of a better thing that an aviator would like to be a part of in his career.
And Drew, in 10 years, 5 years, maybe 15 years, what will some kid be learning in science class that they will trace back to the last flight of the shuttle Endeavour?
Well, I hope that AMS will have a long legacy and help unravel more secrets of the universe, complementing those that Hubble has helped reveal as well. And I think that's what's been important for me personally, is to know that we've contributed to science and will contribute to science and the understanding of the universe for decades, generations to come. I think that's pretty special, and we look forward to those new discoveries.
Do you have, Commander Kelly, to you, any apprehension as we go through this transition? You're the second last shuttle flight. The final mission will take place just a few weeks down the road. Any apprehension that in this period of transition something will be lost, whether it's scientific discovery or just the great sense of adventure that is manned spaceflight?
I don't think the adventure will be lost. I think what's always at risk is, as we transition to a new program and a new vehicle, there's going to be a period of time when Americans aren't flying on U.S. spacecraft. So that's a challenge. People leave. Engineers and operations people will move on and do other things. So it's the corporate memory that I think I'm most worried about as people go. But over time, we'll get the right mix of people, and NASA has an incredible workforce. It's very talented, and from the late 1950s to today, we take on great challenges, and we've never failed. So I think the future is bright. There's going to be a period of time where we're going to develop our next generation of launch vehicles, and it'll be a challenging transition, but I expect, great things.
You made a tough personal decision, a tough family decision to take this mission with your wife still in a very delicate stage of her recovery. While you've been up in space, she has had surgery. It was obviously a tough call. Any moments during the mission from when you took off to now as you prepare to come home where you questioned that call and said, oh boy, should I be here?
No, I don't have any regrets. We trained as a crew, the 6 of us, for over a year and a half to get ready for this flight. So when January 8th happened, when that day came, didn't look likely that I would be on this flight, but her recovery went well enough and things lined up with her being able to go to rehab in Houston that I was able to rejoin my crew and complete this mission. Certainly no regrets. There are periods of time over the last 16 days that you miss your wife and your kids, and I think that's true for all of us. But in hindsight, it was absolutely the right decision. We got all of our mission objectives done. We did 4 very challenging spacewalks. We got the AMS installed and another payload on the outside of the space station. So for me, it was certainly the right decision.
Gentlemen, thanks for your time. Have a wonderful final moments to your journey. We'll see you back on Earth.
You're welcome, John.
Endeavor, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the CNN portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from NBC News.
Endeavor, this is NBC News Washington. Tom Costello. Hello, gentlemen. Can you hear me?
Yes, Tom, we have you loud and clear.
Nice to see all of you, and NBC falls in the alphabet here, so I'm third. So you got to still be original, okay? Here we go. You guys are on the last mission of Endeavor, the second to last mission for the Space Shuttle fleet, and your space shuttle there is headed for a California museum. Is this a bittersweet moment for you guys?
It is really bittersweet. This Endeavor's performed really, really well for us over these 16 days, as it has since, its first flight. It's been a great spaceship. When we land in Florida tomorrow, it's going to roll into the hangar and get prepared for, the next step and next phase of its life, which is in a museum. And I imagine millions of people, hopefully millions of people a year, will get to enjoy getting up close to the space shuttle. It's going to be in California. I think we all look forward to visiting it in the Science Museum there. But it is a bittersweet moment. It's been a great spacecraft.
Some of NASA's legends, some astronauts have written a letter to NASA the last couple of days and to President Obama. They include Gene Cernan, Neil Armstrong, and Jim Lovell, who say that human spaceflight program is in disarray. Any of you agree with that, given the state of where NASA is going now? Are you concerned about the future of human spaceflight?
I think we're always concerned about the future. I mean, this is our careers. It's been our careers for a long period of time, and it's a difficult transition period. We're going to retire the space shuttle. It's going to take us probably 5 or 6 years to have a new spacecraft ready to launch U.S. crew members on. In that period of time, we'll continue to fly on the Russian Soyuz. We have a very capable space station that we're going to continue to operate. The U.S. segment of the space station is a very capable laboratory. We have a European lab, a Japanese lab on board. But, transitions are sometimes difficult. But, we have confidence in NASA and NASA management that we'll steer through this period of time and come out on the other side with a really vibrant space program. Hopefully we'll get an opportunity to go back to the moon or go on to Mars, an asteroid. I mean, we're really excited about the future.
Commander Kelly, I know you appreciate the concern and how everybody here on Earth has been watching so closely how your wife, Congresswoman Giffords, is doing. Can you give us an update? I know you've been speaking regularly to her from space, and how was her progress after that surgery about a week or so ago?
I do really appreciate everybody's, their interest, the cards, the letters, the fact that people really, really do care about how she's doing. And that's really important to me, important to the kids. It's important to her. We tell her that frequently. She's not a big TV watcher, but she reads the paper. And we talk to her about that, and she doesn't quite understand the magnitude of the interest in her condition. But she's doing really, really well. The surgery went as good as Dr. Kim at Memorial Hermann could expect. I mean, he was really happy with the outcome. She just had her stitches out, I think, today. And I certainly could tell the difference on the phone in speaking to her. So she's improving, continuing to improve every day, and I'm looking forward to seeing her in a couple days.
Mike Fink, a record 380 days in space, 9 spacewalks. You hold the record for an American astronaut, and you're about to touch down. I'm wondering what you're feeling about your space career and about the state of the shuttle program and the space station program.
Well, the state of my career, I'm very happy. All my life, I just wanted to go into space for one orbit, and I made it. I didn't realize I'd spent 380 days up here, and I've enjoyed every day. And the spacewalks have just been amazing and breathtaking. And I owe it all to my family for their support. My wife has been a saint through this whole thing. As far as where we're going, well, we've built a really great outpost in space, the International Space Station. We've learned how to live in space. I mean, 380 days is proof of that. So we know how to live in space. Now we're getting ready to take the next step and to start to explore further. And I'm looking forward to that. And I'm hoping my career takes me there. And if it doesn't take me there personally, I'll be there supporting the guys who do go on the ground.
And Colonel Johnson, if I get one last question in, I'll ask you, bittersweet as you watch the Endeavour program come to an end?
It's very bittersweet. This wonderful vehicle has gone on 24 previous shuttle missions. We're the 25th. It's the newest of the shuttle fleet. And I just love this vehicle. I fell in love with this vehicle the first time I got to fly 3 years ago on STS-123. She's performed magnificently. Absolutely no warnings or cautions on the way up. Nothing broke. This vehicle is a wonderful machine, and it's an honor and a privilege for each one of us to be part of her final flight.
Thank you, gentlemen. We wish you a safe trip home. Thank you so much.
Safe trip home. Thank you so much.
Endeavour, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the NBC News portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from Fox News Radio.
Endeavour, this is Fox News Radio. How do you hear me?
We have you loud and clear.
Good evening. This is Eben Brown talking to you from Miami. Thank you all for taking the time to do this. Firstly, Captain Kelly, Colonel Johnson, you're getting ready to put Endeavour down for her very last time. What's going through your heads? How big of a moment is this for you guys, both as astronauts and pilots? And who gets to have their hand on the stick for this? And what do folks like you guys do next without a space shuttle to fly?
Yes, it's always a big moment in the mission. The space shuttle is a big glider. There's no engines for landing. I mean, we have this incredible amount of thrust and power for liftoff, and then we glide home, very steep glide slope. Space shuttle has really short and stubby wings, so we practice the landing a lot. And I'll do the landing tomorrow. It'll be about 2 in the morning. We're hoping for good weather. But it's a big moment in the mission to get safely back to Earth. I think these guys are looking forward to a soft landing. I'm going to try to give them one.
We're going to have a night landing tomorrow morning, or super late at night, depending on how you look at it. And my previous flight, we had a night landing as well. This will be Mark's first night landing. So as his pilot, my job is to contribute in any way that I can to back him up and support the landing. We're both trained, almost one might say overtrained, because we've been training for many, many years to land shuttles. And I'm looking forward to this landing at Kennedy Space Center early Wednesday morning.
Thank you all. We've just been told our satellite window is ending, but thank you all, and good luck to everyone, and we hope to see you tomorrow night in Florida. Take care. Fly safe.
You're very welcome. Great talking to you.
Endeavor, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Endeavor Houston, real nice job, gentlemen. A special thanks to ABC News, CBS News, CNN, NBC News, and Fox News Radio. And Endeavor, please stand by while we reconfigure audio on the ground.